Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are going to be going over the November sound design competition with Blipsounds. And this month was a pretty challenging one. We did Reinhardt's Ultimate from Overwatch, and we got a few submissions. This is, again, definitely the toughest one, but everybody did a really good job. Actually, I think we have probably the best sound yet throughout all of the competition so far, in my opinion. We'll go over that in a little bit, but if you want to join the competition for future months, we're going to be starting again on December 3rd and a couple days here, and you can check out the announcement on Facebook, Twitter, our Discord channel, on the Blipsounds website. You can stay tuned, and yeah, we really want people to join because it's a lot of fun, and I think it's a really valuable learning experience. But anyways, we are going to be doing this competition review a little bit differently. We, as many of you know, we list the top 5 winners and I review them. So we're actually going to do it in reverse order this time. Instead of naming the losers first, or the top 4 runner-ups, we are going to be naming the top winner first and then the 4 runners-up after that. That's just because I feel like the sounds usually have a lot to offer in terms of, or the winning sound usually has what the other sounds don't, and I can kind of go off of that a little bit better, and it kind of gives a good starting place, I think. But anyways, we're going to jump right in with our winner, the Walrus. So this is the hardest sound that we've done for the competition so far in the 4 months we've been doing this. This has been the hardest, and this is the best sound that we've had so far, in my opinion. The Walrus, you got second place in the last competition and in October, and now you're here with winning first place. Congratulations, you're going to win 2 free months of the game audio training series on Blipsounds. And yeah, I mean, it's you did such a good job. I'm so happy with what you did here. To explain what you did compared to everybody else that made you win is that you just have so much attention to detail. Your source recordings are so good, and also just you were very smart in how you added attention to detail. And one thing that I've said a lot in the previous competition winning videos is that when you have something, anything that moves anything that moves in an animation should have a sound, and the things that have greater movement in a sound should be the loudest, and that helps us create our natural dynamics in a sound effect. And the dynamics are the loud and soft sounds, which are very important for storytelling in a sound effect. This story that the sound effect tells is so good. There's so much detail. Every single sound, every single animation has a sound paired with it. And so to explain some of the sounds that he did, he added a sound for the hammer drawing back. He added a sound for the wave, the rock wave that's bursting towards the player. And then Walrus also added a sound for the camera, this actual movement of the camera, which no one else did. And honestly, I didn't even think about myself. This is, in my opinion, this sound is better than the original sound from Overwatch. This sound is that good, and I'm surprised that Overwatch didn't think to do this either, where the camera itself moving has a sound. It just makes so much sense to have it. So really all I can say is that your source recordings were awesome. I checked them out, what you did for the source recordings, all super cool stuff. You used your mouth, some paper tearing, you used a synthesizer, some armor. You're going to have to explain that to me when I talk to you when this goes live. But seriously, excellent job. So good. Congratulations on winning. It's a brilliant sound. Great job. We're going to move on to the other contestants of the competition, though. Our next runner-up was Some Garbage, also Chris on the Discord channel. So Chris, your source recordings were really solid. Your sound in this is so much fuller and more satisfying to listen to than before. The sound is very much, I think you would have had a greater chance at winning first if you had added more attention to detail in your sound effect. So, I mean, I think that the Walrus is another, just like went Super Saiyan in this entire competition, because he would have beaten me as well, to be honest. But just like tiny little things for the attention to detail, like drawing the hammer back. This entire section is beautiful. You have excellent, the metal, the noise that you have playing throughout while the shatter comes at you. Again, just having certain sounds, like when the camera moves. That's one of the biggest ones. And then also maybe one for when the player from the first person perspective gets up. Your source recordings are really awesome. It sounds nice and full. The entire experience of your sound is satisfying, but I think what would put you really over the edge would be adding more detail to your sound, because it feels like you missed some animations in your sound effect, and if you added those animations or sounds for those animations, then the bar would be raised way higher. But moving on, we also have, I believe this was Suture Audio. Really awesome sound as well. I think it definitely took a different direction from the other ones. When Reinhardt lands his hammer, it sounds a little bit hollow. I would say that you actually added way more attention to detail than some Garbage, for example. But I feel like your frequency spectrum could have been filled out a little bit more. Like if you could have added like some white noise or some sort of frequency filler to make the hammer impact a little bit more, making the hammer impact just a little bit fuller, it would have been a lot more satisfying. And I think simply just that would have made it feel more satisfying. And then also just adding sound for like the hammer drawing back. I think that's really valuable, having some metal in there. And then you added a sound for when the player falls. That's great. I would also say your dynamics could use a little bit of work. I think that it would have been your dynamics were fine. I would just say that, like, I think that I would have liked to hear some bigger sounds, I guess. Like it feels a little bit empty at times, and you do get to your loudest point when the hammer hits. But I think that actually the falling sound that you did should be even louder. Feel free to step outside of the rules of what your realistic expectations for sound design would be, because it's usually has nothing to do with your realistic expectations. I've seen you talk on the Discord channel. You definitely know what you're talking about when it comes to audio. So I think that I think that hopefully these notes will just improve tenfold since you have that knowledge already. But great job, Suture. Congrats on placing. And our next placement is Civ on the Discord channel. So this one, you actually have a really great frequency spectrum on your sound effect, actually. It's very well filled out, and I feel like it's a satisfying sound effect. I believe you added a whoosh there? Yeah. It sounds like you added like a tiny bit of a whoosh for the hammer. I would have added a lot more bass to the whoosh sound effect that you did. Simply just adding, again, it's always what I do, but it just had a little bit of white noise and cut out the higher frequencies, and you'll be able to get some solid low frequencies in there. But I would also say that adding some metal sounds for Reinhardt's armor. Your source recordings are pretty good. It sounds like you used like a crumpling paper kind of sound or something like that, which is pretty cool, and it kind of resembles the fire. I would have definitely added some more sort of earthquakey kind of sounds, some grittier kind of earth shatter tremor sounds. And I think that actually could have been accomplished by using the same sort of papery sound that you used, because the papery sound works pretty well, but I feel like if you had duplicated that, and added it to another layer and then pitch shifted that downwards, it would have been a lot crunchier. And I think that would have gone a long way with your sound effect. And then the camera moving as well is like a huge factor. And I think this competition altogether, like, is it was a great learning experience for everyone, because people don't really think about stuff like the camera moving, or people don't really think about stuff like what you need to do to make a sound as good as it can be. And seeing stuff like the camera move, like, that's kind of like outside of the box thinking. Not even Overwatch did that. So I think that it's most of this stuff has to do with a matter of attention to detail in the animation, the mix, and then also just placement of your sound effects, I guess, as well. And then dynamics is another thing, which also falls under mix. But I also would have added a little bit more sound for the little fire coming through. But overall, your sound is really solid. Great job. And our last one is by Cenx. Cenx, C-E-N-X. So pretty solid sound. I would say the one note that I have for you, Cenx, you have a lot of attention to detail. You actually added a sound for pretty much everything. Like you got the hammer, you got the shatter, you got the player falling. All of that is super valuable for creating a proper sound effect. I would say your biggest thing that I noticed is that your source recordings aren't very clean. And also, I think your choice of source recordings could be a little bit better. The source recordings that you have are a little bit they're good, but they're not really high quality, I can tell, and that might have to do with what your recording device or your recording location. One of those two. I would start by fixing the recording location first, and then if it's not your recording location, then it's your microphone. And if it's your microphone, then it's not too big of a deal, I don't think, because you can actually, I think what I'm hearing is a lot of the higher frequencies are actually cut out. So if you just boost the higher frequencies with an equalizer a little bit on those source recordings, it'll make it sound a little bit more crisp and finer. But if you're willing to invest in a better microphone, highly recommend doing so, because I think that it will help you a lot. I don't want to discourage anybody from submitting to the competition with microphones, but I believe that it can be done with microphones. Having a better, not with microphones, with a cell phone microphone. Having a cell phone microphone is okay to use, and I've actually been able to make quality sounds with it. But it does become much easier when you have a proper handheld microphone or plug-in microphone. So your sound itself is really solid, though. Like I think that the dynamics and the frequency spectrum that you fill out is really nice. I really like this low kind of rumble sound you have that carries on throughout the sound. I think that it just needed a little bit more. I think the higher frequencies are just what I'm missing. I want to feel like the sound is full and enjoyable to listen to. Because when things are usually fuller, they are more complete and bigger sound effect. When I say fuller, I mean a filled out frequency spectrum. So I think that's all I really have to say about this. The attention to detail is perfect, actually. It's probably as much detail as you can add. Again, I think it's just a matter of improving your source recordings a little bit. Is probably the first step I would recommend. But anyways, congratulations to the Walrus. You are going to win a free. You're going to win 2 months free for the Game Audio Training Series on Blipsounds. And let's just listen one more time. Super solid. Great job, Walrus. You deserve it. And thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you guys want to join the competition, remember you can check it out on December 3rd when we are announcing it, and you guys can see what sound we will be recreating next. And winners get announced later in the month. Everything needs to be recorded from scratch, but For the time being, you can check out the previous competition winner videos because I think they're very valuable for any beginner sound designer. I think that they'll find a lot of problems that are relatable to them, and they can listen to those problems and maybe improve themselves. And if you want even more improvement, I highly recommend joining the competition because I think that just getting your feet wet in the pool of sound design is exactly how anybody can get better. So anyways, thanks for watching, everyone. Congratulations to the Walrus and all of the other contestants, and I'll catch you guys around. Thanks for watching.